Yeah, that's great advice too. Because if you bring complementary skills together, you can do more together versus, hey, if we know the same things and we're just going to be button heads the whole time, that doesn't do anybody any good. So that's great advice. And like Dustin mentioned in the comments, if anybody has questions for them, feel free to drop them in the chat or the questions tab below, and we'll get to those in just a minute. But I got a quick question. You guys obviously came through the military, and there's a lot of structure and stuff like that. So are there any maybe systems or tips or tools that you guys use in your day-to-day business today that help you be more efficient, create more structure? Because we typically get a lot of syndicators that watch this, so maybe there's something that you use that you found to be pretty helpful in your day-to-day business and operations. So Eric, do you have anything like
Yeah,
that
I got a couple, I guess, off the top of my head. I don't know how valid this is for everybody, but yeah, we use an app called Voxer, which is a silly little thing, but it's a way we communicate throughout the day. We're all over. I mean, a couple of our partners are still active duty, so um, we're all over the world and all over the United States for sure. And so we and our coaching students, mastermind students, or whatever, have an app that it's a tap to talk type of app where it's like using a walkie talkie. So it's very familiar communication style. And I know that there's a lot of apps out there that can do something similar. So that one, and then also we have Monday staff briefs. Common thing in the military. So it's a very structured thing that we go through, and we all know to push information, not having to pull information from each other. And we have an SOP for what we set out to do, what we accomplished, what we plan to do next week, and then something exciting. And so we just go through each of our roles in that kind of fashion on staff briefs. So it's a little bit of military mixed in there for sure.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. How about you, Whitney?
Yeah, I think at first it's just documenting what you do, right, at a personal level, and then also just your team. Like, what is that process to get this done, or I mean, to get a podcast, published. There's so many steps that have to happen, and you all know this, and Eric too. I mean, there's so many things that have to happen, but at first, it's just not making it too complicated either. I mean, we just listed those steps out, like in a Google sheet. What happens, every detail that we can possibly note, and then there's other software, there's other systems where you can make that a lot more fancy, but it doesn't have to be that complicated either. But it is something that, like, I like to have it documented enough. So somebody that's on our team now, guess what? She's having a baby today. And, she helps manage a lot of the podcast. And so the podcast doesn't stop, right? It's every day. And so somebody else on the team has to know how to do those things, or be able to step in, or if they don't know how to do it, know who to ask, right? She's, that lady's not really available at the moment, right? So, and I don't want her to be, right? I want her to be focused, on her family and what, being there and not, being in the business at the moment. So it's important to have those processes. And if you don't document them, how do you improve them? Just the whole capital raise process is so in depth, all the details, and I want to make that as smooth as possible. And so we just document as much as possible about that process, and even in every time that we're going through one. I mean, I use Voxer as well. Our whole team does. That's a great suggestion, Eric. But I'll wake up at 2 a.m. and my mind to be just going 100 mile an hour about these things. And right then, like, my team knows, like, just shut your phone off at night, because I'll Voxer, one of them, and say, make sure and add this to this process, or we need to try this next time. Or this is what I noticed today. And I just want to say it right then. So it's like, it's recorded, and then I can just go back to sleep. Right. But documenting, don't make it too complicated. There's tons of different sheet apps like Google Sheets or different ways to make it really fancy, but write it down, share it with your team. And I loved what Eric said, just a month or weekly meetings, so important. Our team does that as well. And just have some structure to those also.
Awesome. We have about 10, 12 minutes left. So I guess start with you, Eric. Is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience? So kind of, leave it with that.
Yeah. The last thing I want to leave everybody with is my success formula. And I hope everyone is able to implement this, and I know they will, in one way, shape, or form, and make it their own. But it's really 4 things. It's learn all you can. That's podcasts, books, whatever it is. Just learn. You have to learn the language of real estate investing, of multifamily real estate investing, because they are different from single to multifamily. So learn all you can. Network your butt off. Whitney talked about going to a dozen to 12, 15 conferences a year, in 2019. Well, I was right there with him up until February. We were at many conferences together even. And so network your butt off. But, you can still do that now. It just looks a little bit different now. The next thing is add value to others. If you lead with that first and realize that the people you're talking to also have goals and ambition and mission, you can add a ton of value to them, or try to grab information from them so that you can piece together a problem that they express to you with a solution. If you're really listening, that is adding value to somebody. So listen well. And then the last thing is action. You must take action. Without action, decisive action, the rest of it is meaningless. So learn, network, add value, take action. If you do those 4 things every day with the intention to be only 1% better, success will hunt you down. You don't have to go finding it.
Awesome. And so I'll kind of same question for you, Whitney. If you could, if there's anything you'd like to kind of end on in this webinar on.
Sure. Yeah, obviously it would mimic a lot of what Eric said too, but I would say be willing to change yourself first. And think of, I read a little bit in that book, I just really think about, how disciplined are you, and are you willing to, do what others are not willing to do? Because you're going to have to be, to be successful in this business or any business for that matter. Most likely the circles that you hang around, your friends, potentially your family, wherever you're going, most of those people are probably not where you want to be. If you have this vision or that big why, adding 2 more zeros on there, like Eric said, you should do that. But you got to remember those people that you're hanging around are probably don't have those same goals, and they're probably not going to do what it takes to get there. So you have to know that, I think, up front. And then, because when you start changing personally, they're going to notice it and they're going to say, oh, what are you doing? That's crazy. But you have to pay attention to who you're taking advice from. Are they where you want to be? Is that who you need to surround yourself with? So, honestly, over the last, about 3 years, I had to change that completely personally, and really just kind of come out of some networks and try to go into other networks, and so it's to surround myself with the right people who can give me advice, and I can ask questions of that are way ahead of me and that truly care about me and that can see my vision or my goal as attainable, because a lot of those same people that you've been hanging around will not, and they will not encourage you in the right way. So be careful, who you take advice from. But I also want to say, reach out to others. And I'm sure Eric does this too, but I know at the end of a podcast, every time I'm interviewed, they always say, how do they get in touch with you? And I put my phone number out every time and almost nobody calls, and so it's like, reach out, and I would say right now, there's a guy in this industry that everybody listening would know, very big name. And it probably 4 years ago, I was listening to a podcast. I started learning about syndication, and he did that at the end. I don't know if he still does this, but then he did. He put his number out at the end of the show, and I called him, and I didn't do that enough, but I did call him, and he's still a great friend now. And so he's grown so much more since then as well. But just a great connection. So reach out. Don't be afraid to ask questions. All somebody can do is not answer the phone or tell you no, or so what? Go to the next person, right? But the chances are they might be willing to help you.
That's good advice. Yeah, it's always a no if you don't reach out or try. So.
That's right. You've made the decision for them if you don't.
Yeah,
that's actually great advice. I found a business partner that way. He left his phone number on he was on the Bigger Pockets podcast, and I called him up. And now he's part owner in our company. So, yeah,
cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, you never know what can happen. You just got to take that action, like you guys have both mentioned, with good intention, and good things will likely happen. So, it's been great to have you both on the webinar. is there a good way that everybody can reach out to you guys? I know we've sent out a handout with links to your website and stuff, but Eric, if you want to direct people anywhere, now's your chance.
Yeah, I think if you're military, if you've ever served, you can go to our website, activedutypassiveincome.com. Definitely connect on our Facebook group. We have tons of free resources, including our #1 best-selling book, Military House Hacking. So there are tons of free resources there, but you can reach out to me directly if you want to know about anything that I talked about specifically. My email is eric@activedutypassiveincome.com.
Nice. How about you, Whitney? How can people connect with you?
lifebridgecapital.com, Whitney at lifebridgecapital.com, 540-585-4338. Call, text, or email.
Awesome. Well, cool. We're really grateful to have you both on. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty fired up after listening to you guys talk. So I'm excited to see what this week definitely has in store for us. So again, thank you guys. I'll toss it over to Dustin real quick to say some closing remarks.
Yeah, really appreciate you guys. Thank you for your service. Thank you for being on. Really, really awesome.